Hey everyone, and welcome to the third part of the Binance trading bot tutorial. And today we're going to discuss buying and selling strategies. As I said previously, this is very hard to predict whether a price of an asset is going to get up or down, but there are some statistical analysis tools that might help us to do this prediction. However, the formulas are going to be simple, but the logic behind them is very complicated, so please understand what you do before you actually trade with them. So we're going to use two libraries. The first one is TA-Lib. It's actually pronounced TA-Lib like this, and you can find an installation guide for each operating system in their site. The second is going to be Pandas, and we're going to import it as PD. This one is going to be used in order to define a data frame, which is like a table with columns and rows, and TA-Lib is going to be used in order to actually run the strategies functions that we're going to use. We're going to discuss two different strategies. The first one is weighted moving average, or WMA, which is an average of a moving window. I'll show it in a moment. And it's weighted. It means that we give more weight to prices that are in the near past rather than the far past. And the second one is going to be the relative strength index, or RSI, which is a more complicated algorithm, and I have a whole short video about it. Great. So in order to actually use these functions, we need to learn a little bit about the market, because the idea behind them is that we have enough history of all the assets in order to predict what will be the future. Of course, it won't be accurate in 100%, but it will give some sense about what is going to be. So currently, we get a price every 30 seconds. So let's move it up to 1 minute, because 30 seconds is updating way too fast. And currently we're looking 10 prices back in the history. So that's like 10 minutes. But that's not enough. We need to look at least 1 hour. All right, so that's like 60 tickers before we try to make a decision whether to buy or sell something. And we'll have like a learning period, which is going to be the price history. So we're going to learn the market for 1 hour. And of course, we will collect 60 prices. And then we are going to change our update function accordingly. But before that, we need to import another helper library from typing. And it's called a name tuple. It helps us to define a class with just attributes, and that's going to be the asset params, and it's going to inherit from name tuple, and it's going to have 4 fields. The first one is whether the asset params are currently valid. They're going to be invalid if we didn't learn the market long enough, like for more than 1 hour. Then it's going to be the most updated RSI value, which is the default, of course, 0. And the weighted moving average for a short window. I'll explain that in a moment. And the weighted moving average for a long window, which is again, by default, going to be 0. Then we will define in the constructor of an asset the actual asset params. That's going to be another field with the asset params object that we just created. And of course, in the beginning, it's going to be invalid since we didn't learn the market for long enough. Then in the update function, each time we update a price, we're going to check if the length of the current prices that we have is less than our safe.learning period. So we're just going to return because nothing happened. We didn't learn the market for long enough time. But otherwise, we're going to define a data frame, and that's going to be from Pandas. And we're just going to define that the data of this data frame is going to be one column of the price. And of course, the data is going to be the prices. Okay? That's going to just create a table with one column. That's a very hard word. And that's not a hard word. Price. And of course, the data, all the rows are going to be the prices. And currently we have a table with 60 rows, which of course are all the prices. Great. And then we need to define more columns that are relevant to us. So let's define the RSI column. And that's very easy. We're just going to use the TA-Lib library with the function RSI. And we're going to get the prices that we already have, price.values, and then we're going to define the time period of 14, which is the default for RSI. Again, I have a whole video about RSI, which defines what this 14 is and what we do with these values. So I'm not going to explain it anymore. And again, the video is linked in the descriptions. Now for the other columns, I'm going to define the WMA long, which is the weighted moving average for a long window. And then we'll define talib.wma for DF in price. And of course, we'll get the values of it. And the time period will be the long window, which is currently the learning period itself. What it means that we're going to calculate the average of all the prices that we have, and we give more weight to the more recent prices, right? So this is very easy. We just get the whole prices that we have, calculate a moving average. It's not actually moving because we do not change the window. It's always all the prices that we have, and we give more weight to the recent prices. And we're going to define another column, which is WMA short, and we're going to use the Talib library again, WMA, and DF price, and here dot values. And that's the interesting part. Here we are not going to get, of course, the whole learning period, since it's going to be hard-coded just for the sake of the video. But since we check for 60 prices back, so let's get just 10 prices. It means that we get the weighted moving average of the last 10 prices. And right here we have like a short period that we can understand what the moving average is, and the long window, and then we have some kind of perspective whether the short window is more than the long window or less than, and so on. So it somehow indicates whether the asset is going up or down. I hope you understand it, but since we're talking about averages, so if the average price of the current short window is bigger than the average price of the long window, so it probably means that the asset is going up. Great. Then we're going to get the last row of this table. So it's going to be df.ilock at -1, and then return, or actually let's just update self.assetparams equals assetparams at, and of course now it's valid, and we'll get the RSI, we'll get the we first did the short, so WMA short, and then the series.WMA long. Great. So now, after enough time of learning the market, we will be able to understand what's the RSI value, what's the short weighted moving average, and what's the short weighted moving average. Great. And we will delete the last gain function, which is not relevant anymore. And we will redefine the should buy and should sell functions, which are actually our strategies that we're going to use. So the should buy part is very easy. First, we need to understand whether the asset params are valid or not. So the asset params should be valid, since we want to be able to understand that we learned the market for enough time. And the self.assetparams.rsi is less than or equal to 30. If you see my short video regarding the RSI function or algorithm, so you will see that RSI is a value between 0 to 100, and when it's under or less than or equal to 30, so it means that the asset is oversold. It means that a lot of people are selling this asset. It has a down momentum, and it probably means that in the future it's going to get up, and that the self.assetparams.moving WMA short is bigger than self.assetparams.WMA long. It basically means that the short moving average or weighted moving average is bigger than the long one. So the asset is going to get up, or has been going up since the last short window. So this is a very basic buying strategy, and in the selling strategy it's going to be much easier. Of course, let's first understand whether the asset params are valid or not, and whether the asset params in RSI is bigger than 70. It means that the asset is overbought. And these numbers are part of the algorithm itself, and I explain it in the short video, as I said. And we're just going to change right here. Let's print in the update function the asset itself, and of course the asset params when it's valid. We will see this print only when it's valid. And right here, we're just going to change the print to should buy and should sell. And actually, let's move it over there to assets dot should buy and assets dot should sell. All right. So we're going to run it. It's going to take some time, at least 1 hour, of course, since that's how we defined it, of getting a ticker every 1 minute for 60 tickers over here. And let's remove this print and just have like print updated here, so we will be able to understand that it actually works, or it will be here. And I had a little bug here. It's not false, it's of course boolean, and the default value is false. And we will run main.py. And as you can see, now it's probably updated over here. And after 60 updates, we will start seeing the asset params that are updated and whether we should buy or should sell. And I'll get back to you when it happens. So see you soon. Well, it has been running for quite some time. We can scroll up in the terminal here and see the output of the script. By the way, there was a syntax error here. You should change it to self.shouldBuy and self.shouldSell and not asset.shouldBuy and asset.shouldSell. That won't work and you will wait like 1 hour for nothing. But if everything is correct, you will see this kind of output. We can see that we get a valid asset params with some values of RSI and WMA, weighted moving average, for a short period and a long one. And I couldn't catch a ticker that, or an asset params update that actually signals us to buy. That may take some time, but we did catch some signals of selling. You can see those. The first Boolean value is for buy signal and the second one is for selling signal. I suggest you just trying and playing with the values and see when the bot suggests you to buy the asset, in this case it's Ethereum, or to sell it. And then of course look at the prices and see if you made any profit. And then of course try other values until you see that it is profitable enough. This is what we call backtesting, or actually starting to backtest. It's more complicated than that. But yeah, that's a very basic strategy that uses real statistical analysis tools that have some meaning and are not just random equations. And I wanted to mention that all of this code is going to be posted in ThinkBrick's website. It's going to be attached in the description below, as long as with the Discord server that we have. Also, you will find a link to join down there. And that's all for now. I guess that in the next episode we will start trading and see how it works with the price changes and opening positions and closing positions. We will have a working bot in the next time. I will be glad to see like your strategies that you found out the most profitable, and then we can analyze it together and understand why it worked. So thank you for watching and see you all in the next time.